Hey, how's it going, everybody? Matt Houston here, and today we got something that I know a lot of people are super excited about. I've been excited about for quite a little while to see what they do with this in 5th edition, and that is they finally released Psionics. It's been a long time coming, I'd say, and it looks like it's here, so let's have a little look. So, without further ado, we have a fighter, a rogue, and a wizard. I have an idea of what they might be, but let's dig into exactly what they are really quickly. So, as always, this is playtest content. This is not meant for properly balanced. It is not meant for the Adventures League. For your personal table, though, have a good time. So, martial archetypes. We're going to start with the fighter. Alrighty, Psychic Warrior. Interesting. Awakening to the psionic powers within themselves, a psychic warrior is a fighter who augments their physical might with the psychic-infused weapon strikes, telekinetic lashes, and barriers of mental force. As a psychic warrior, you might have honed your psionic abilities through your own disciplined practice, unlocking it under the tutelage of a master, or developed it by an academic dedicated to wielding the mind's power as both weapons and shield. All right, so let's see what we get here. Psionic Armaments, this is 3rd and 10th. You channel your psychic power to magically augment your powers. When you finish a long rest, choose whether to augment your defense or your strikes. The choice benefits lasts until you finish a long rest again. So, augmented defense. When you or a creature you can see within 30 feet takes damage, you can use your reaction to roll a d10 and reduce the amount of damage taken by the number rolled. When you reach 10th level, this class, the die changes to a d12. That's pretty nice. It gives a reaction to a class that typically does not have a reaction, and it also reduces by a d10. This is sort of like the monks deflect missiles. It's less good, but I mean, reducing damage is always good. Having a dr, what's the average of a d10, d6, d5.5? About 5.5, so on average a 5 or a 6. So having damage reduction 5 or damage reduction 6 once per round, pretty good, especially at 3rd level. Later on, that's less good, but 3rd level, that's really good. All right, so for the other option, we have Augmented Strikes. Once during your turn, when you hit a creature with your weapon attack, you can also deal 1d4 psychic damage to the target. When you reach 10th level, in this class, the psychic damage increases to a d6. Kind of like a weaker sneak attack. But it does psychic damage, so that's pretty handy. It's only once per turn, and it's only during your turn, so I don't see this being changed at all. I think these are pretty fair, especially when compared to a lot of other stuff that the fighter gets. This is probably the least outrageous of things I see that fighters get at 3rd level. Getting the improved crit range, getting 3 battle maneuvers, etc., etc. Those, I would say, are pretty crazy. Though you do get this once every turn, so every turn you do get an additional d6, which is pretty good. It's like the rogue sneak attack, but less good. But that isn't to say that it's bad. Less good is not bad. It just means that, well, you only deal an additional d6, which, to be fair, the rogue, or d4, which, to be fair, the rogue is dealing 2d6 at this point, but that's a core part of their class. I like this. It's not incredible, but it's not bad. Telekinetic Hand, 3rd level. You learn the Mage Hand cantrip. Go figure. You can cast it without components, and you can make the spectral hand invisible. Intelligence is your spell casting ability for this spell. So it's basically it's exactly as the name implies. It's nice. You kind of get a lot of the things that the Arcane Trickster kind of gets by the looks of things, which, I mean, is handy. This is pretty good. I like using this. This is a very nice thing to have. It's nice also just as flavor to be able to just go, rather than getting up, it's like, I just moved my mug of ale to me. Just little things like that are fun. Strength of Mind, here we go. At 7th level, as a bonus to the action, you can telekinetically lash out at creatures you can see within 20 feet of you. Target must make strength saving throw, bonus versus your intelligence. On a failed save, the target takes force damage equal to 2d6 plus your intelligence modifier and is telekinetically moved 15 feet in a direction towards or away from you, your choice. On a successful save, it takes half as much damage and is not moved. You use this feature number of times equal to your intelligence, and you gain all expended uses when you finish a long rest. So I want to point out something that that was kind of obvious, but I'm just going to mention it now, and that is that they are making a lot of intelligence-based character class or archetypes which I'm very happy about because right now intelligence is heavily lacking in the department in 5th edition. There's a lot of adjustments, and I'm going to do a whole video on that later, but this is a beautiful thing to me where intelligence is being utilized beyond just the wizard or specifically the Arcane Trickster or the Eldritch Knight. Seeing it used beyond that is very, very pleasing to me. I love intelligence-based classes, and this is being in R1 is really, really great. Having, we'll say 2 or 3 uses, if you go by standard array, we'll say 2 or 3 uses by this level. You gain 2 or 3 uses of a get off me or come to me type spell. 2d6 damage plus your intelligence, so 2d6 plus 3, so 9 to 10 damage on average is nice. It is psychic, it is force damage rather. So it doing force damage means that it's probably almost always going to be going through. And being able to, but the big thing here is the move. Being able to pull or push something 15 feet or a group 15 feet in either direction is really, really big. This gives you a lot of environmental advantages. It lets you control the battlefield very effectively. And being a fighter, you typically don't have a lot of tools that let you do that. So this is a very welcomed benefit to the fighter. Telekinetic bulwark, so probably some sort of defense. When you take the attack action, you can forego one of your attacks to project a bastion of psionic power in a 10-foot radius around you. Interesting. It lasts for 1 minute or until you're incapacitated. For the duration, you and your allies in that area gain benefits of half cover and have advantage on strength saving throws. Wow, that's pretty cool. Once you finish use this feature, you can't use it again until you finish a long rest or until you have used your second wind feature. That's new. I like that. Attaching stuff to second wind. That's a cool idea. Also, this being used for half cover. So +2 to your armor class for all ranged attacks. So until you're incapacitated or until the end of the fight, essentially. Because I think I fought maybe 3 battles past 5th level where it went more than 10 turns. This is going to work. So the 1 minute rule is really just, it's going to work for this battle, is generally how it works. And then advantage on strength saving throws, which means you're going to be good against really big, bulky opponents that want to try and grapple you or pummel you and make you trip or do a lot of these things that cause you to take on problems that are physical oriented as opposed to magically oriented. So this is really, really good. I like this. This is actually really fitting of a psychic warrior in the front line. I really like it. Agonizing Strike. So at 15th level, your attacks can channel psychic agony. When you hit a creature with a weapon attack, you can also deal 2d10 psychic damage to the target and force to make a constitution saving throw equal to your intelligence DC. Unless the save succeeds, the target falls prone and it suffers disadvantage on ability checks until the end of your next turn. You can use this feature a number of times equal to your intelligence modifier or long rest. Okay, so this is really, really handy. So at this point, we'll say your intelligence is maybe a 4, possibly a 5, depending upon how deep you want to go into your intelligence. So we'll say 3 or 4 times. So 3 or 4 times you get to do an additional 2d10 damage and possibly knock a creature prone. I mean, it's not really any different than having the tripping attack for your battle maneuvers. It just does more damage. You have less options, but it does more damage. And it's psychic, which means it's likely not going to get resisted. And it's pretty strong again for you, like especially if you're using an intelligence-based ability. The other big thing that it gets here is it suffers a disadvantage on ability checks, which means that it's not going to be able to be very good at grappling you. If the creature's trying to grapple you, it's not going to be good at counterspell. It's not going to be good at a lot of things. So this is really, really handy. I think this is good. I think it's befitting this kind of class. And yeah. Last but not least, at 18th level, the Psychic Warrior gets the ability called Psychic Dreadnought. The power of your mind suffuses with your entire being, making you a nigh unstoppable force on the battlefield. Using a reaction when you take damage, you can give yourself one of the following benefits for 1 minute or until you're incapacitated. All right, so first time you're hit, we'll say. At the start of each of your turns, you regenerate 10 hit points. Wow. Your walking speed increases by 10 feet. After you take damage? I don't know about that. If you fall prone, you can stand back up by spending 5 feet of movement. Nice. Once you activate this feature, you can't use it until long rest. Okay, so this is really cool. I've been wanting a regen character for a while. I think only the Barbarian had one version of it, which required you to be in rage and below half hit points, and it was on hit regen, which is pretty awesome, not gonna lie. But being able to just say, when you start taking damage, and you know you're gonna be taking a lot of damage, you know you're gonna be the focus of a lot of damage, or you're just gonna be taking hits every round, or you just took like one hit that dealt like 40 damage off the start. Being able to push yourself into a spot where you're just gonna regenerate 10 hit points every turn. Like, if that goes for a full minute, that's 100 hit points. That's a lot of health. This is really, really good. I love that. Your walking speed increases by 10 feet. Not a huge deal if you've already taken damage, because odds are you're already where you need to be. Not necessarily, but typically that will be the case. So your walking speed increasing by 10 feet may not matter. There's a good chance that you will probably have something that will increase your movement speed a little bit by this point as well. This is 18th level. If you don't have something that improves your movement speed for a single round at least, this is a way to supplement against it. You're going to want to have something beyond that. This does let you free up that attunement slot for something else if you need it, but I think this is a little bit, this is extreme. I feel like this one is extremely niche. If you're prone, being able to stand up, you're spending 5 feet of movement. Again, this comes back to the other thing, which is I don't think you're going to be prone outside of melee combat too often. At least as a frontline fighter, because because a lot of your stuff requires you to be like in the fray. Like specifically the strength of mind and telekinetic bulwark really benefit you for being in the front. So I'm not entirely certain as to how much these other two are going to be useful to you, especially considering that you're already good at keeping yourself from being knocked prone because you advantage on strength saves, and I don't see this being particularly incredible for these two. The 10 hit points is very much always good. The other two are very niche, which having niche options and a default go-to is a good setup, so don't get me wrong. But I do believe that this will be picked far more often than not. Overall, Psychic Warrior, looking really good. Fitting its theme, I like it. Roguish Archetype. So we're going to get into the Rogue. So we have the Soul Knife. Soul Knife has always been pretty interesting. So Soul Knife possesses powerful psionic potential. They channel this reservoir of inner magic into tangible blades of psychic energy, striking at their victims' minds. They find easy employment as members of thieves' guilds, being particularly sought after as assassins, since their signature psychic blades leave behind no visible wounds. Oh, you're literally stabbing the mind, or stabbing the soul, rather. As a soul knife, your psionic abilities might have haunted you since you were a child, only revealing their potential when your psychic knives first appeared. Or you might have sought out a reclusive order of psionic assassins and spent years learning how to manifest your deadly blades. So, Psychic Blades, the core piece of this archetype. As a bonus action, you can create magical blades of sharing psychic power from one or both of your hands. While one of your hands is manifesting a blade, you cannot hold anything in that hand. Makes sense. You can dismiss one or both the blades at any time, and they disappear if you are incapacitated. The blade is a simple melee weapon with the finesse, light, and thrown properties. It has a normal range of 30 feet and 60 feet, and deals 1d6 psychic damage on hit. If you throw the blade as part of an attack, it vanishes immediately after it hits or misses its target. The blade otherwise disappears the instant it leaves your hand. Nice. So you can be a knife-throwing rogue, you can be a stabby rogue, you can be an assassin. And, I mean, it's a d6 weapon, so it can be a knife, it can be a sword, it can be I mean, they're weightless, so you could actually have... There's nothing that says that it can't be. It just says it is a finesse weapon with light or thrown properties. Light and thrown properties. So you could dual wield great swords if you wanted to, because they're just psychic blades. That's a funny idea, because it's just a flavor choice at that point. Psychic Enchantment. You can focus your psionic powers to give yourself an extraordinary ability. When you finish a long rest, you gain one of the following benefits of your choice, which lasts until you finish a long rest. You can communicate telepathically with any creature you can see within 30 feet of you. If a creature can speak at least one language, it can respond to you telekinetically or telepathically. Nice! That's really cool. You can just make it so that you're constantly communicating with team members around you. Increases your walking speed by 5 feet. Nice. On a rogue, that's pretty good. That actually can mean 10 feet if you use your bonus action, so that's really handy. Your hit point maximum and your current hit points are increased by an amount equal to your intelligence modifier plus your rogue level. Nice. So an extra hit point plus intelligence. I mean, that's, at this point, this is probably 5 points, and then it scales up to 1 point. I mean, in the late game, like at 10th level, getting an extra 13, 14 hit points, not too shabby. That's good if you know you're going to have to be in the bulk of damage. This is good if you want to be doing, like, this is all really good. I like this. Really handy stuff. At 9th level, you get Terrifying Blade. Your Psychic Blade can now stoke terror within the target. When you damage a creature with your Psychic Blades, you can force the target to make a Wisdom saving throw versus your Intelligence-based DC. On a failed save, the creature is frightened of you until the start of your next turn. On a successful save, the creature isn't frightened and is immune to being terrified by your blades for the next 24 hours. So this is nice. Gives creatures disadvantage so long as they see you. So it being frightened of you means that it does have disadvantage on its attack rolls and any of its ability checks so long as it's within you're in sight of it. So that's pretty handy. It also means that it cannot approach where you're standing, which can also be very, very handy. Again, if this fails, you can't try it again. I think that's very appropriate. I like this. This is really, really cool. I like that. Very appropriate. Psychic Veil. You can weave a veil of psionic stag to mask your physical presence. As an action, you can magically become invisible along with anything you are wearing or carrying for 10 minutes. This invisibility ends if you make an attack or if you are forced to a creature to make a saving throw. You can use this feature a number of times equal to your intelligence modifier, so 3 or 4, and you regain all expended uses when you finish a long rest. I like this. Being able to just pop invisible. I like it. This is one of those things that invisibility is such a good default skill to have for any rogue just because of sneak attack, that this is great. For having a pseudo assassin or a magical assassin style kind of class, this is really, really good. It's very fitting. I love it. Rend Mind at 17th level. You can sweep your Psychic Blades directly through a creature's mind. As an action, while you have at least one Psychic Blade manifested, you can force a creature you can see within 30 feet of you to make an intelligence saving throw. DC equal to 10 plus your proficiency bonus intelligence modifier. I'm pretty sure that's supposed to be 8. But, yeah. If you are hidden from the target, it has disadvantage on the save, so if you're invisible. On a failed save, the target takes 12d6 psychic damage and is stunned until the start of your next turn. Wow. That's basically a better sneak attack. On a successful save, the target takes half as much damage and isn't stunned. One of your Psychic Blades vanishes after using this feature. You can use this feature a number of times equal to your intelligence modifier, and you regain all expended uses when you finish a long rest. This is basically a 30-foot ranged save style sneak attack. It's actually better than sneak attack because at 17th level you get what? 8d6? Yeah, you get 8d6 plus your weapon, so 9d6. You get 9d6 weapon damage, or 12d6 as a spell-oriented ability, which has an insane DC, by the way, 10 plus proficiency plus your intelligence. So this is a DC 20 at this point. It's probably supposed to be DC 18, but DC 20, you're just gonna destroy someone with this. And it's an intelligence saving throw. What has high intelligence? Wizards. That's about it. Man, oh man, that's insanity. This, I feel like the DC is going to get nerfed when they release this to DC equal to 8. But other than that, this is pretty nuts. I really like it. It's befitting. But damn. Overall, the Soul Knife is looking really good. along with all your regular rogue antics that they always get. This stacks up really well. I like this. I will actually play this. This is really cool. I like it. I foresee this being nerfed. Honestly, I foresee this being nerfed a little bit. I think the damage might actually be okay. I just think the DC needs to be a little lower. And last but not least, the Arcane Traditions. Apparently there's lots to go still. Interesting. Oh, there's probably additional spells or feats or something. Okay. Arcane Tradition. So, the wizard, 2nd level, gains Psionics. Wizards study magic powers in all forms, including the magic of Psionics. Those wizards who follow the tradition of Psionics hone the magical potential of their own mind, sometimes called Psionics or Mentalists. Or Psionicists or Mentalists. I'm going to go with Mentalists. These wizards interact with the multiverse through the lens of their psionic aptitude and awareness. Psionicists channel their magic by focusing their minds. By doing so, they can transcend their physical bodies, adopting forms of pure thought, casting a spell psionically to bypass the need for components, and perceiving the world with a broader range of senses. As members of the Psionic tradition, you have awoken to your psionic potential through the strains of your esoteric studies, or perhaps your journey as a scholarly order dedicated to unlocking the magic of the mind. Psionic Focus. You have learned to channel psionic energy through a special object, a Psionic Focus. You gain the object with this feature. See your Psionic Focus sidebar on how you might have acquired this item. Okay. While the Psionic Focus is on your person, you gain the following benefits. The object is a spellcasting focus for you. Appropriate. When you roll psychic or force damage for any of your wizard spells, you can re-roll any of those damage dice rolls at 1, but you must use the new roll. Appropriate. That's pretty awesome, actually. It makes psychic and force damage averages go up, which means that they will do quite comparable damage regularly now. If your psionic focus is lost, you can magically recreate it by meditating for 1 hour during a short or long rest, at the end of which the focus appears in your hands. Fair days. All right, so your psionic focus. Every member of Psionics Traditions has a story about how their psionic focus came into their life. Consider how you found yours and what form it takes. The event that brought your psionic focus to you probably holds a personal significance. Did your master give it to you upon the completion of your apprenticeship? Was it awarded to you when you graduated from your academy? Did it call to you in a jeweler's shop? Was it associated with the moment when your psionic powers first manifested? One morning, did you wake up with a humming under your pillow? The form your psionic focus takes is also yours to define, likely being a reflection of how your magic came into being, a symbol of your own psyche, or an item that you use to focus your thoughts. It is a handheld object that has special meaning to you, but it can't be a weapon or magic item. Perhaps it's a childhood memento, the skull of an alien creature, crystal that makes you feel a certain way, a coin that only lands on its edge, a fire-scattered what? Panchette? Oh, that word is hurting my dyslexia. Or any other enigmatic personal relic. Interesting. So just something special to you. However the object arrived and whatever form it takes, your psionic focus is now yours, and you decide how to handle it. Will you mount it on a wand or a staff? Would you prefer to wear it as a necklace or circlet? Have you embedded it into the cover of your spellbook? Wherever you put it, you can now channel your magic through it and its sign of your membership in the reserved tradition of psionic wizardry. Cool. I like that. They're really pushing for these foci to be utilized in very specific ways in these new classes or archetypes that they're putting out. So one of the, for example, with the Artificer, they really pushed, if you were the one where you get the homunculus, they suggested that your arcane focus could be a wrench, just because it's one of those things that you work on a lot with the clockwork. And I thought that was a really cool idea. I really like that. Psionic Devotion. Additionally, at 2nd level, your study of psionics begins to unleash your mind's potential. When you gain this feature, choose one of the following cantrips: Friends, Mage Hand, or Message. You learn that cantrip if you don't already know it, and it doesn't count against the number of wizard cantrips you know. While your psionic focus is on your person, you can cast the chosen cantrip as a bonus action requiring no components and with the modifications below. Friends, when the spell ends, the target doesn't become hostile to you. So they just don't know then? That's pretty good, actually. I like that. Mage Hand, you can make the hand invisible when you cast it and control the spell as a bonus action for you. So, kind of works the same way it did for the Arcane Trickster, but I like that. And message, you don't need to point towards the target or whisper the message out loud. So this is literally just a telekinetic. It's kind of like the telekinetic thing for the rogue for the soul knife that we just saw. But this is 120 feet, and you can just reach out to a creature mentally. You don't have to point. You don't have to know where they are. You just have to know that they're within range, and you can mentally talk to them. So this is a very, very handy. I would actually probably take the message myself. Friends and Mage Hand are both really, really good as well. I personally like message a little bit more. So at 6th level, we gain Thought Form. While carrying your Psionic Focus, you can use a bonus action to magically transform your body into pure psionic energy. Transformation lasts for 10 minutes until you use a bonus action to assume your normal form or until you're incapacitated or die. While in the Thought Form, you are a figure of luminous psychic energy with your Psionic Focus hovering within. Cool. Your form can appear as anything you wish, but it's obviously magical. It's the same size as you and sheds dim light in a 5-foot radius. Any other equipment you are wearing or carrying transforms with you and melds into your thought form. You also gain the following benefits. Psionic spellcasting. When you cast a spell while within this form, you can cast the spell psionically. If you do so, the spell doesn't require verbal, somatic, or material components that lack the gold cost. So you're just an astral being or a psionic being that's just floating there and just casting spells by thought. That's pretty dope. Psychic resilience. You gain resistance to psychic damage and to bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing damage from non-magical attacks. Interesting. I like that. You can transform using this feature a number of times equal to your intelligence modifier, minimum of once. So probably 5 before long. 4 for now, but probably 5 before long. And you regain all expended uses when you finish a long rest. You're going to have this for every fight. Plain and simple, you're going to have this for every fight that you need it for. So you're not going to need verbal, somatic, or material components for very much of your spell casting outside of non-combat. Then you just need your specific foci, which is good. But this, I like this. This is really interesting. It makes you have like an astral being. I like it. Mental discipline. So at 10th level, your mind power expands to greater heights. When you gain this feature, choose one of the following spells: Dominate Person, Scrying, or Telekinesis. You can add this to your spell book, and you can cast it without components. Nice! All 3 of those are actually really, really good spells to have. So, yeah, I'd pick any of them. They're all good for different reasons. You can also cast the chosen spell once without expending a spell slot, so you get one of these for free. And after you do so, you regain the ability to cast a spell slot after you finish a long rest. So you can use this as a regular spell. You don't have to use the components. And it's any components at all. So this includes the gold-oriented components. You have one casting of it without a spell slot, so you could just do it for free every day. You don't even have to have it prepared because of that. That's awesome. That's really good. What a free spell without the need of purchasing components for scrying, telekinesis, or dominate person. Really handy. It's a little lackluster compared to something like the Transmuter Stone. Empowered Psionics. So at 10th level, when you deal psychic damage or force damage, rather, with a wizard spell, you can add your intelligence modifier to the damage against the one spell's target. I mean, that's handy. It's pretty good. If there should probably be a cantrip in here for psychic damage. Like Mind Spike would probably be the default one, just because that's the classic from psionic abilities. I think this is good specifically for your cantrips. It's handy for your spells, but being able to add 5 damage to a spell that you're casting with a level, it's nice, but at 10th level, it's not a huge deal. It does bring some of the lesser potent psychic or force damage spells into alignment with other spells that deal damage at the same level a little bit. So it's definitely welcomed, but it's not incredible. This is really going to affect your cantrips. 2d something plus 5 if you have a psychic or force. Because if they don't have a psychic oriented cantrip, I don't know what they're doing. But if they don't, you're going to do something. You're just going to take Mage Initiate, guaranteed, just so that you can take Eldritch Blast for this class. Like that there's no way around that. Someone is going to do that. That is going to be a thing that everyone is going to want to do. And it also gives you a first level spell from the Warlock, so you can get Hex, which is still really good. Thought Travel. At 14th level, when you use your Thought form, you have flying speed equal to your walking speed and can hover. You can move through other creatures and objects as if they were difficult terrain. You take 1d10 force damage if you end your turn inside an object. If you return to your normal form while inside an object, you are shunted to the nearest unoccupied space and take 1d10 force damage for every 5 feet traveled. And, I mean, gain flight and just being able to go through things, that's pretty awesome. I like this. This is really, really handy. There's a lot of things that are good about this. Psionic spells. Spell selection is part of what defines a wizard and their individual fields of expertise. When you create a psychic wizard, consider spells that are thematically appropriate for the tradition. Psionics are theme generally includes spells that do the following. Psionics as a theme generally includes spells that do the following. Contact or manipulate minds, allow the caster to perceive distant locations or planes, alter perceptions, move objects and creatures, teleport, deal psychic or force damage. New spells. So these are new spells for the Bard, Sorcerer, Warlock, and Wizard. All right, so let's see what we got here. So we got some new spells. So we get a bit of additional components. So this is good for, so this was the Bard, Sorcerers, Warlock, and Wizards. Okay. All right, so new spells. So Ego Whip, concentration, verbal, one action. You lash your mind out to one creature that you can see within range. Filling it with despair, the target must succeed on intelligence saving throw or suffer disadvantage on attack rolls, ability checks, saving throws, and it can't cast spells. Wow! At the end of each turn, the target can make another intelligence saving throw. This is really good. Being able to basically disable a character with an intelligence based saving throw. I mean, you put this on a fighter. It can't attack. It can't do ability checks. It can't do saving throws very well. They're all at disadvantage. Can't cast spells. You can gimp wizards. You can gimp. This gimps everybody. This is a really, really good spell. That is definitely one that I would take as a wizard. That is a potent 4th level spell. You can't upcast it, but it being only verbal is really, really good here. All right, ID Insinuation. What is this? You can unleash a torrent of conflicting desires in the mind of one creature you can see within range, impairing its ability to make decisions. The target must succeed on a wisdom saving throw or be incapacitated. At the end of each of its turns, it takes 1d12 psychic damage, and it can then make another wisdom saving throw. On a success, the spell ends. For a first level spell, being able to incapacitate someone and deal 1d12 psychic damage, like this is a level 1 hold person that you can use on any creature, and it does psychic damage. It's not paralyzed, but it's incapacitated. This is insane. This is really, really good. That's an incredible first level spell at any point in the game. Verbal and somatic. No material components for this. This is really good. Intellect Fortress. Range of self, 1 action, 10 minutes, concentration. Create a faintly shimmering barrier of protective psychic power around you. For the duration, you have advantage on all saving throws. Nice. When another creature that you can see within 30 feet of you fails a saving throw, you can use your reaction to allow the reroll of the save. They must use the new roll. So you give advantage to somebody else's reaction. You have advantage on all saves yourself. That's pretty good. For a 5th level spell, that's pretty good. This would be good on something like a Warlock specifically. I wouldn't put it on a Wizard. It would also be good on a Bard, especially if they're a College of Swords or Valor, something that wants to get in the fray. That's also really good. Mental Barrier, 2nd level spell. Reaction when you take when you are forced to make an intelligence, wisdom, or charisma saving throw. Okay, so is this like just all right, so let's see here. So reaction spells, I like reaction spells. You protect your mind with a wall of looping repetitive thought. Until the start of your next turn, you have advantage on intelligence, wisdom, charisma saving throws, and you have resistance to psychic damage. Nice. It's kind of like the shield spell. It's like the absorb element spell, but for saving throws. I like that. That's really good. I like that actually a lot. Mind Sliver. This is the cantrip. Is this the cantrip I'm looking for? It looks like it. Verbal, 60 feet. You drive a distant spike through psychic energy into the mind of one creature you can see within range. The target must make an intelligence saving throw. Nice. Unless the saving throw is successful, the target takes 1d6 psychic damage, and the first time it makes a saving throw before the end of your next turn, it must roll a d4 and subtract the number rolled from the save. Wow. So it also gives it a problem on saves, not disadvantage, a bane on the next save until the end of your next turn. So that's pretty good. Standard increasements on the d6. This is the psychic oriented spell that we've been looking for. That's really good. I would take that on a warlock. I would take that on a bard. I would take this spell in general. This is really good. Mind Thrust, good old Mind Thrust. Okay. Bonus action. Oh no. You propel a lance of psionic disruption into the mind of one creature you can see within range. The target makes an intelligence saving throw. On a failed save, the target takes 3d6 psychic damage, and it can use its action only to disengage the next turn. On a successful save, the target takes half as much damage and the spell doesn't limit the action options. You cast it at 3rd level. You can target one additional creature for each slot above 2nd level. Okay, so I want to point out something that's very obvious here. And that is if you Mind Sliver someone as a regular action, you can then Mind Thrust them in the same turn and they get a minus d4 on the saving throw, meaning you're going to be pretty guaranteed some strong damage here. And not only that, you also get to force them into a dash or disengage action next turn, which pretty much disables any martial-oriented class. Like, that's really, really good. That's an insane basic 1-2 combo. I love that. That's really good. All right, 30-foot cone, Psionic Blast. It's a dexterity saving throw, oriented mental damage for 5d8 force damage at 3rd level. This is pretty good. It's only slightly behind the fireball in that regard, and it's force damage, so it's pretty good. And it's pushed 20 feet directly away from you, is knocked prone. Can't complain. On a successful save, the target takes half as much damage and isn't knocked prone. You can increase the damage by 1d8 per spell slot above. This is really good. It's the fireball equivalent. I like it. It's very appropriate. Psychic Crush. Sorry about that, everyone. My screen capture crashed for some reason, so we're going to continue on with where we left off, which will be Psychic Crush. 6th level spell. Duration 1 minute. YOLO the mind of one creature you can see within range, filling its psyche with discordant emotions. Target must make an intelligence saving throw, or on a failed save, the target takes 12d6 psychic damage and is stunned for 1 minute. Nice. Successful save, the target takes half as much damage and isn't stunned. So the target can make an intelligence saving throw at the end of each its turn. On a successful save, the spell ends. This is pretty good. It's pretty potent, deals a lot of psychic damage. I guess it's not an absurd amount of damage at 6th level, but the fact that it's psychic damage, and as a psychic wizard, you get to re-roll ones on psychic damage. This is really, really good. That and that you having the chance to stun someone. This is non-concentration. You can stun something. This is really good. Thought Shield. You weave a cloud of veil over the mind of one creature you touch. For the duration, the target's mind can't be read or detected. Creatures can't telepathically communicate with the target unless the target allows it, and the target has advantage on saving throws against any effect that would determine whether it is telling the truth. This is a nice subterfuge spell. Duration 8 hours, touch. It's a good prep spell. It's a good start of the day kind of spell. Especially if you're going to know you're going to be dealing with telepathy or other things that, such as things like Zone of Truth and things of that nature. Again, I believe that they would still be able to tell that you are not compelled to tell truth, but that it's simple as that that you are not compelled to. There are other benefits to this, of course. Being able to not be detected is really, really good. It's a good low level means of not being non-detection. All right, some new feats. So telekinetic. So you learn these feats. +1 intelligence is a score. You learn the mage hand cantrip you can cast without verbal or somatic components, and you can make the spectral hand invisible. Sounds pretty appropriate to that. Bonus action, you can try to shove one creature you can see within 5 feet of the spectral hand, but with your mage hand spell. Interesting. When you do so, the target must succeed on a strength saving throw, DC against your intelligence, or be pushed 5 feet away from you. When you can do this as a bonus action, that's pretty awesome. You give this to any class that doesn't really have a lot of bonus actions, like wizards in general. This is pretty good. Telepathic. You again increase your intelligence by 1. You gain proficiency with one skill of your choice in the following list: deception, insight, intimidation, or persuasion. So the charisma-based skills. And you can communicate telepathically with any creature you can see within 30 feet of you. If you understand at least one language, it can respond to you telepathically. So this is basically a class feature slapped into a feat. This is actually pretty cool. I like it. Overall, I really like what they got here. They gave us, I'd say, pretty appropriate spells. I do find it interesting that they're not going into an actual psionic route they have in the previous editions. I would have imagined that they were going to go like the Scion, right? A default class called the Scion. And then you would have Psionic Warrior, Soul Knife, and then like something else that was more of a major spellcaster. Like, I thought they were going to go more of that route, because Psionics was a whole thing in previous editions, right? It was like you could almost build the game off of just psionics if you wanted to build a much smaller scale game. So I'm actually surprised that they just went in the direction that they did. I do like how all these spells that they put in are available to not just wizards, but also available to bards, sorcerers, and warlocks. I think a lot of these spells actually fit the warlock motif very well. Same thing with the sorcerer. The bard, a little bit less so. I think it's a little bit more cherry pick here and there for them, but overall, I think the bard fits this quite well as well. Spell suggestions for the wizard makes a lot of sense. The wizard archetype, I really like. I've never liked psionics much in the past, but I think I might like them now. The soul knife is insane. It is the real, like, classic assassin idea in an RPG, as opposed to the assassin that we do have. This is kind of like I am an expert killer. When I just kill stuff. Whereas the assassin is, no, I'm good at picking a target and assassinating a very specific target, regardless of circumstance. The psychic warrior, I mean, I like it. I don't like how a lot of its abilities are reliant. Same thing with the soul knife, really. That a lot of your abilities are kind of one and done. Actually, that's only like 1 or 2 of them, and both of them last a minute. So I actually shouldn't say that. So actually, yeah, I really like the psychic warrior. They get a lot of really good stuff. They don't get the same variety of options that other things like the Battle Master gets or the Arcane Archer gets, where they have a lot more choice. You do get some really good abilities. You do get psychic armaments, psionic armaments, which is a very good feature. Being able to choose defense or offense. Personally, I think the defense is a little bit better than the offense. Just like DR5 is just really, once around, is really good. And when you are going to be in scenarios where you're not going to get opportunity attacks because you're fighting something in the front and nothing is going to move, or at least nothing is going to flee from you, psionic armament, augmented defenses is really, really great. Now, being able to go, hey, I'm just going to deal an extra d4 psychic damage every turn, that's good too. But I think the defense is a little better, or at least more my style. Strength of mind is fantastic. Telekinetic bulwark. I really like the psychic warrior. I don't play fighters typically. I might play this one. Overall, I really like the results of the fighter, rogue, wizard psionic-based archetypes. I think they're really good. I think a little bit of tweaking is probably needed on the Soul Knife. The Soul Knife seems a little insane with the being able to do just tons of psychic damage on a intelligence save of all things. That's pretty nuts. But that's my opinions on the matter. And overall, I think that these are look like they'd be a lot of fun to play. So that just about is the end of this video. Thank you very much for watching. As always, do make a comment in the Troll's Nest on the underside of this video. Like if you did. And if you want to see more of my content, do subscribe to make sure that you never miss another video. And until next time, guys, have a nice day.